Welcome back to the gym for Dungeon Masters to work out their minds. I'm DM Neil, aka Jote Maniac, and I have a special guest with me, and it's none other than
Tony Serenello.
I want to say it, but remember, we got DM Tony, but what is your AKA?
My AKA would be Kodama.
And today we're going to be starting a new series in DM-Nastics. It's new to you and it's very old to my brain because I've just been trying to figure out how in the world I'm going to do this. So shout out directly to Tony because, and I've already told you multiple times, I appreciate you coming on because you're unlocking the skill check series because I've wanted to get people that do cool stuff in the world who also love D&D to help us, all the listeners, figure out how we can incorporate some of that stuff further into D&D. And today we're going to be talking about woodworking.
Well, I'm kind of honored off the bat to say I'm the first one in the skill check. That's cool. Should I get my dice? Go on.
Oh, I was doing that for another thing. And I was like, it'd be funny if like at the end we see how we did and roll a dice. And then I was like, I've not rolled very high. And I was like, this isn't funny anymore. I just keep rolling like 4s and 5s. And I was like, but I felt like the episode was good. So I don't think we should do that. Or at least we could just, it's behind the screen. We could say whatever we rolled. But first and foremost, I think it's important if you give a little backstory on your woodworking expertise, because I've heard it and I'm excited for the listeners to hear.
All right. Well, it goes all the way back probably to the early 90s. Second generation woodworking. It's been in my family. I went into my early 20s to work for props and TV sets, a place called Studio Displays in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've done some stuff that's been on TV. I've done some stuff for Disney, Nickelodeon sets. When I moved down to Florida, I decided to up the scale and go into yachts because actually working with high-end boats tend to pay more. So I did boats for about 10 years, traveled America pretty frequently, got a lot of flyer miles out of that, running big ships. The biggest boat I worked on was probably a 280 footer. The smallest one was an 82 footer. Then it started to slow down and into my 40s. And I opened up a small shop here on the east coast of Florida, north of West Palm. And we still do very high-end stuff, but it's a mom and pop operation. And every 2 weeks, we turn it around and kind of create a theme for D&D experience where we bring in people to enjoy the game. Basically, I had an itch to play the game. I started playing late 80s, 86 or 87. I think it was in 8th grade on the bleacher on the basketball floor next to the cafeteria. It's like, hey, let's play. So I go way back there. But I was out of it between Advanced Dungeons and Dragons all the way to 5. And it just hit me over here where it's kind of like, I'm listening to all Critical Role. I'll give some credit. I'll give a lot of credit to Critical Role and podcasting, these things that were out there. And I was like, this just sounds great. And COVID was just hitting. And I was just like, all right, well, I'm listening to more stuff that's on podcast. And after COVID went away, I was watching the people doing the online games. And I realized that it just didn't seem to spark or hit as what it used to be, where you sat around the table and played the game. So decided to just run a loose ad on Facebook and create a name, Tree Spirit Tavern. My company name is called Kodama Design. So Kodama in Japanese means tree spirit. And I think if you watch those Ghibli movies, you'll see the little ghost Kodamas that run around the trees. It's my wife's idea. From that, I created just an offsite Facebook page, Tree Spirit Tavern. I ran one ad. I didn't even pay for it. I just opened it up and dropped it in the locals. Hey, is anybody who wants to play? I'm going to have an open house on a Saturday from 11 to 3. And I was just going to be cleaning the shop floor. And people started showing up. Literally 7 people showed up and they're still at the table. Now, moving on over 2 years, that 7 people has brought their friends in and more of their friends in. And I've had as many as 9, 10 people at the table at once sit in. And it's pretty challenging, but I've had some project management experience that made it easy. Yeah, no, it's we love to do the craft aspects of it. So Saturday morning, I clean up the front office on the tool racks. You could actually see it if you go to Tree Spirit Tavern on Facebook. And I turn it into a D&D experience for everybody. We bring in snacks, foods, drinks, and try to make it immersive for everybody. And we open the doors a little bit early, and everybody comes in and hangs out. And we're planning on doing a open house twice a year. Going to have a little bit of merch hanging on the walls, a little bit of things people can purchase, dice people can roll, do some giveaways, spin some wheels. Think of like a Ren Fair type environment where people can come in and meet more people that want to play, and just like not go to the library or go to a bar or hookah lounges are down here. I think hookah lounges,
Mm-hmm.
I think is big down here in Florida, and they like to game in those areas. So I'm trying to create an environment, and I really don't have to pay for it because my shop is paying for it. So it feels like I'm giving back to the community and try to, bring a lot more life into this area. And we're not in a heavy populated area. I mean, West Palm is 40 minutes south, and we have people traveling 40 minutes to play our game, almost an hour to play our game.
Yeah, I've often found that some of the, not necessarily metropolitan areas will draw really large TTRPG crowds, because Derek is from the Utah area, and in Provo, Utah, that mall that's there has the Guinness World Record for the largest single D&D game ever.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. Not that
Yeah.
big, but for the open, like the Renfest idea, it's kind of like I want to open the doors and have many tables. But what he did, he was like each table combined into a larger adventure. So what was happening
Yeah.
at one table, it was carried on to this other table and affected their roles and affected their bonuses. And I kind of want to do that much smaller level, but I
Yeah.
would love to have 20 to 30 people to do that.
An epic. Yeah. 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 Hit me up offline. I automatically have ideas for one that was used at the early stages of 5th edition. It was the first thing I ever played of 5th edition. It was referred to as D&D Next. But yeah, it was a 3-table epic, and I think it was close to 30 people. But
3 table epic. That sounds like a perfect size. That's something that we could do here. I mean, maybe even 4, and make a real enjoyable event, but it's more like a Saturday and Sunday event, and that's it. Like a Ren Fair. So I like it. What did you call it? An epic?
yeah.
Yeah, and just run something like that. And I have plenty of DMs. Most of the people that play with us here are DMs to begin with.
Awesome. Well, I mean, my background with woodworking is much less, but it is not none. So that does behoove me for this conversation, because that is the joy of my moniker that I have used for a long, long time is Joe Moniac. And it's been a long time since I guess I've explained that. So it's Jack of all trades, master of none.
Master of none.
But a master of many is better than none, or better than one is the rest of that sentence. But I'm a big proponent of the G.I. Joe mentality that knowledge is power. And so when I was in high school, that's where I started. And I did all the woodworking classes they had there. And then I've leveraged that through a lot of life, just because if I got to fix something, or if I just need to, I've always liked knowing whether or not I should be the one doing the work. You know what I mean? And then you don't get bamboozled when someone shows up and they're like, that's $70,000. And you're like, that doesn't, no, that doesn't seem right. So I got a little lathe work under my vest, and never took a chisel to the chest. So we're good. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of pick your brain about, and I think there's like something really specific that now that we've talked is kind of coming to my brain. How much ship related things do you incorporate into your games, or do you just like shy away from it because you're like, I've been working on a boat all day. I don't want to talk about no boats.
Well, I don't do the yachts anymore. I mean, I've been out of the yacht industry now, I think for about 10 years. I did it for 10 years, and then I got out of it because it was too stressful. When you work on boats, you learn how to pick up a pile of scraps and make something out of it and make it look awesome. So, I'm not a fan of the 3D printing aspects, except for minis, but I'm not a fan of people 3D printing like a whole village and their blocks. We have a foam cut saw, a saw that can cut foam. We use all sorts of heating rods, knives, and we have all this stuff in house. So some of the players actually made some beautiful terrain. I think you could scroll down on some of our videos on Tree Spirit and see it, where it's made more by hand, and that's kind of what I bring in, because what I'm seeing more and more out there is everybody is 3D printing stuff or buying something and repackaging it and reskinning it. And I like to bring in more of the handcraft, some pottery or a wooden sword, or wooden crafts that players can use as well as DM can use. Everybody has a wooden DM screen now. What do the players have that are? But to find something more that's crafty and small, that's something that you could either put a lot of money into it, or you can get something that you could just put in your pocket and it's very affordable. It's like a trinket, like you say, if you're visiting something. And a lot of times I'll just bring it to the table and give stuff away to the guys that are playing here. So this crew of 7 that I have here, I think I have 7, 8. I tend to give them lots of presents and toys so they can enjoy the game. And they're also my guinea pigs, because they can test out they figure out all the mistakes I made. And I was like, okay, you're going to have this. And then it's like, well, you need to make sure you can put a piece of paper in this, or you can put your phone on it, or your tablet, or your dice in it. And that helps it out before I would want to release it. We don't know how we're going to release it, if it's going to be Etsy, or if it's just going to be on our website, or if it's just going to be when we have our open houses on the weekends. We have no idea. But it's not going to really be a form of income for us. It's going to be more of enjoying the game and bringing people together.
Yeah. And that it brings up such a good point that I think is like one of the things you can really fold back into your game. The idea that like, we're in a very different world than the worlds we play in, because wood is not like an endless commodity that we currently have. But the idea that how much you can make from just a single piece of wood, especially in like, if you're thinking of something smaller, like it's just kind of blowing my mind of like the number of things that a character could make. Like, you think if you just had the equivalent of, let's say, like a 2x4 that's even just 4 feet long, like how many, like if you're playing smart, like how many arrows could I actually make out of that?
You can even take that one. I'll take that 2x4. I'll even go one step further, because I already use this. I don't do 2x4. I take my walnut scraps, my cherry scraps, my white oak scraps, and I cut them into 1 inch by 1 inch long rods, square rods, 1 inch by 1 inch pieces. And then I slice them like you're slicing bread. And those 1 inch and 1 inch pieces become your tiles. So you could set them on the floor, and you could literally, it's just kind of like Dwarven Forge. They have those 3D printed tiles.
Yeah.
I do all that out of wood. All the scrap, you just rip them into a 1 inch by 1 inch square, and then you slice it like a loaf of bread and throw it on the table. And that's stuff that was going to end up in the trash can. And I'm turning it into terrain.
Yeah. I mean, most useful thing other than trash would, I guess, be a small fire. But other than those two methods, the idea of, just repurposing it into just small things. And the other thing I think of is like using those cutoffs, because there's two versions of this. Is looking at small things that you can make for the table. Because the other one that I've seen that is a really cool thing you can make quickly is having, what 2 types of woods did you say? Because I'm trying to think of.
I use walnut and white oak. We do a lot of walnut and white oak.
Yeah, if you had this, like, basically, like you're saying, you're almost having like a wooden dowel of oak. And then I've seen it where they make it where it's standing, and then they use clothespins that have all the characters' names on it, and they use that as an initiative tracker. And so then you can just clip up and down where everyone is, and everyone has a visual representation of your initiative tracker. And then it's not this one. Getting an initiative tracker for your table at all, great idea. No matter what it is, a visual representation for everyone, myself included as the dungeon master, is great, so that it's not this perpetual question of, oh, is it my turn, or who is next? Everyone can see who's going currently, who's next, who's after, and all those things. But that's a super quick one, like, because I can only imagine how many clothespins I could buy for $1 or whatever.
Yeah, any of that, small little pieces of wood. If you have 6 or 7 pieces that are the same size, and you just take a Sharpie marker to it, there's your initiative tracker.
Yeah.
And we do that here too. We do it on acrylic. When you were talking about a rod and a clothespin, I have actually scrap acrylic rod that was damaged off of a job that is 1.25 inch diameter, and I cut them in different lengths. So guess what? When my characters fly, they could put their mini on top of this 1.25 inch acrylic rod that has like little cracks in it, and it's cut at like 6 inches, so they can be flying 6 feet in the air. We actually use
Oh
the
yeah.
tape measures on the table.
Yeah.
So when we're gaming, we have tape measures and rulers instead of literally drawing out a square, where we'll just use a 1 inch increment. 1 inch equals 5 feet, or 1 inch equals 10 feet. And all my players are like, they're all laying out their tape measures and rulers to figure out how it goes. But there's a tremendous amount of theater by the mind. And I also like to use bags of coins and little glass vials filled with hit dice, little tiny mini 4-sided dice as potions of healing. I think I was telling you before, we use the game Jenga to build up tension. So if they're setting a trap, pull a block from the Jenga, and you'd be surprised how everybody gets quiet as somebody's trying to pull one block, and what's going to happen if that tower falls. So we try all sorts of things.
Yeah, and the other nice thing with wood that is not as and I'm not saying it's not available, it's just not as easily available with other materials, is that when I think about the Jenga, as long as everyone's in for it and it's not like someone's a ride or die Jenga player and they've brought their set from home. I'm sure there's someone out there like that, but let's say it's the tables version. Let's say they pull that. Let's say it fails. My first thought was, let's do something to that Jenga block to memorialize that moment. There's nothing stopping us from grabbing a knife or grabbing a little something, something. And then, okay. So this is where my knowledge stops. Is it just called a wood burning tool? I see people use them all the time, where it's like, it almost looks like
yeah.
Okay.
There's a wood burning tool, and there's other things you can do with a Dremel. I mean, we actually have a CNC here, so I mean, we can scroll things out onto.
Oh gosh, yeah. Is the wood burning tool that much different than a soldering iron? Because every time I look at the wood burning tool, I just think it looks like a soldering iron, but I assume
it's a soldering iron.
Okay, cool.
It's a soldering iron with a sharper point.
Okay. Hey, you know what? This whole episode's worth it for me in this singular moment right now, because this whole time in my head, I'm like, I think that's just a soldering iron. And this whole time it's been a soldering iron. The idea of, like I said, memorializing that moment. The same thing, even going back to the clothespin idea. There's nothing stopping you from taking each of those clothespins and giving to each of your players and saying, you customize this because it's your character. And when I put it on the initiative tracker, it's yours. Like what you bedazzle it, bespoke it, like whatever version that you want it to be, so that when you see it, like you have something of yours.
I actually like that idea. They could actually carve a little bit into it, and again, that's something that I could offer the guys and women here, as far as, here's a bunch of clothespin and here's some tools. Go ahead and go nuts on it. I mean, carve it, shape it, paint it. You could put glitter on it. There's just so many possibilities that's out there, and a lot of the stuff is really easily available. Like you just said, clothespin, toothpicks, popsicle sticks. If you don't have the ability with wood, but you'll be amazed how much people give stuff away on Facebook, wood related, and just scroll through Marketplace, and there's gobs of somebody's trash can become your game treasure.
My thought would be finding a local wood shop and just asking about their scraps. I mean, they may make you pay for it. Cow. But
I give away trash cans full, 30 gallons at a time. And, I give away for burning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. The other thing, and I know we've already talked about this too, is like, I am deeply jealous of what I assume it smells like when you're playing, because I know it's happening in the general area. And I know that wood smell has to be, you're used to it. So, I would revel in it. But I'm sure at some point you're like, okay, I'm good. I don't need this anymore. But
I don't even notice it. I notice it when I'm running, but it's usually, thankfully, if I'm not, because I paint here too as well. So, okay. I got to make sure the place is aired out. But I usually, believe it or not, I'm going to give a little plug. I usually light up a cantrip candle to set an ambiance, sure. Or, to just kind of like air it out. But white oak, if I'm milling white oak, the place smells great.
Yeah,
but I would have to do it like the morning of, to keep that aroma in there,
pretty fresh.
or just fill up the shop floor with sawdust. I could just throw sawdust all over the floor, and then everybody could slip.
Nice. Ooh.
Then you have insurance and liability. No, we won't go there.
Cement floor plus sawdust. No, bad,
Yeah,
bad news.
bad news.
See, that's another interesting thing. Like, what are some like sensory terms that you feel like you have that most people wouldn't when it comes to like woodworking in just wood in general? Because I feel like obviously you're going to know the difference between like different woods and their smells, and I obviously would not.
Yeah, cedar. I mean, it's not. It has a strong odor when you mill it, but it usually goes away fairly quickly unless it's cedar. I mean, red cedar at cedar closets, we do quite a bit of those. The place smells great when you do cedar closets to a point where your eyes begin to hurt. So it really depends on what's on the floor at that time. There is stuff that there's woods that would burn your throat. If I'm cutting or working with it and I have to wear a respirator because it's fairly toxic. Teak smells great, but it'd burn your throat. So, there's also, you got to kind of be careful if you have other people coming into your wood shop.
Now you got me scared. So to cover up this closet, because the way my office is set up is my desk is one way and my wife's is perpendicular, but then the closet is like directly behind her. And she's like, yeah, just so we were clear, when I'm on Zoom, all your stuff is just like available and it just looks terrible. So I bought, like, for your porch, when you have the like big teak shade that rolls down.
Yeah.
I bought that so I can roll it down and cover the closet whenever she's on Zoom. So it just has this nice teak looking backdrop. But now I'm horrified that this is going to kill me one day. No, that's super. But that's such an interesting piece of advice, because what a cool and terrifying thing that an enemy could use to just literally smoke you out. Yeah, like a monster that knows that fact and is just burning a certain type of wood and pushing that smoke through a cave or something like that.
Now, you see, I can use that this Saturday. I could actually do that because they're actually in a cypress bog. If you go on our Tree Spirit Tavern page, you could actually see this dungeon that's on there, and it's a trunk of a cypress tree inside of a bog that they're currently running, and it's all Pecky cypress scrap that I'm doing for this job. And it looks really gnarly and it's got lots of pits and holes in it. But, it actually can produce something because they're just coming out of this bog that can start affecting their breathing, where they would have to pull something that can build some tension, something that they will have to contend with. It's an environment that's the whole bog is beginning to create some sort of a mist.
Yeah.
Or something that would burn their throats or their eyes, that gives them disadvantages to, sights and smells. So I'm actually going to try to do that this Saturday.
Nice. Obviously, different woods are harder than other woods. Is there a way you can tell? I mean, obviously are there more subtle ways that you can tell prior to just actually trying to cut the wood, how hard or soft a wood would be?
Oh, just wait. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, white oak. I mean, we do a lot of white oak here, and I get it. I buy it 2 inches thick and fairly large planks, 16 feet long, 10 inches in width, and they weigh like 2 bags of cement. I mean, it's very heavy and very dense. And if you have something like that, if it's poplar or pine, it'll weigh like a bucket of water, 30, 40 pounds. So there's a huge difference. And usually the weight will tell you the density and how much harder it is to cut. You usually get more fragrance. If we go back to fragrance, you usually get more fragrance nope, I'm going to take that back. I was going to say you're going to get more fragrance out of the hardwood, but then you have cedar that just blows that out of the water, but cedar fades over time. But yeah, it is harder to cut. I mean, if people are doing it on their home or in their garage or something like that, pick up some 2x4s. There's a lot of, hit a cabinet shop and hit their bins. Go through their dumpster. You're a fan of dumpster diving? I used to be. You'd be surprised what these wood shops throw out. I threw out today probably 200 pounds of hickory. I just threw it out a couple hours ago. And that's good burning wood, and it's a good smelling wood.
Yeah. I mean, it happens because especially with larger jobs, there's nothing else you can do with the job when the job is wrong.
Yeah, no, actually, my dining table in my house is an off ball from the table I had to build. And it's literally a piece of garbage. But this piece of garbage is 4 inches. This is a piece of walnut. It's 4 inches thick, 8 feet long, 4.5 feet wide, solid piece of walnut. So it's probably about a $6,000 piece of walnut that was the cutoff off of the table I had to build for the client.
Yep.
And I was kind of like, well, what am I going to do with this? And it literally sat leaning against the wall in the shop for 10 years until I was like, hey, maybe I'll just put that in my house. And it is. I still have to build a base for it, but it's there.
Good enough.
Good enough.
There's just so much you can do with wood, because one of the other reasons that I actually love that we're starting here is that as of yet, via anything we've discovered in space, one of the things that really sets us apart on Earth is wood and plants. Because because when you go to like, there's like, it's raining diamonds and like on these other planets, and like there's just gold and all these other things, like, uninhabitable by us, of course, but plants, we just don't find those anywhere else.
Again, I mean, we try to create a very, I mean, I use fake plants, but when I set up on Saturday, I have 2 chests that I pull up and I just hang ivy all over the place. There's wood leaning against the wall. I try to make it as rustic feeling as I can. And it increases every bi-weekly session we have over there. I'm adding more and more to it. I make wooden lanterns. I got like 8 wooden lanterns that has some chains that are all white oak, that I just keep adding to props and ideas to create the environment. So when everybody comes in, they ooh and ah over it, have a good time. And, I use the woodworking for on the table. I don't use 3 printed items. I'll use little slices of bread of walnut or white oak and pine to lay out my map, just like Dwarven Forge. I curate walls. You can create certain levels and do some carvings to create different elevations. I got one where we did the city of Eberron. And you could, again, go on Tree Spirit and look at it. It's full of arches because Eberron is full of bridges connecting large towers that go up into the air. And I had all these off-falls of these arch pieces of wood, and I just threw them on the table. And we literally had like 6 different levels of bridges, little wooden bridges that connected to wooden towers.
Yeah.
And we had 9 people, I think, at that game. And it was a one shot that lasted about 4 or 5 hours. And it was just a big battle, and everybody had a blast.
Yeah. I mean, you unlocked a memory, man. I used to use Jenga blocks all the time to make walls and like just fabricate. Yeah. Use use a Chessex map and then just use Jenga blocks to fabricate the rooms and stuff like that. So yeah, I used to do that. Yeah. Wow. I totally forgot I used to use my Jenga all the time. That Jenga box is struggling. I'll eventually have to figure out another way to hold those things. But yeah, it is discolored and falling apart, but that's all right. It's seen some good times. But if you like this episode and you want to leave us a rating and review, you can always go to Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. And as always, mine is wearing overalls with a giant net trying to catch pods for me. But if you want to tell us about the woodworking you're using in your game, because we would love to hear, you can always email us at dungeonmasterblock@gmail.com. And as always, if you want to find us on social media, be wary. That's a dangerous place these days. Have fun on there. You know what? That'll be my advice today. Have a good time. If something on there made you mad, unfollow it. Scroll past it. Don't comment. Don't let it enrage you. Go find something you like. Go on there, and then oftentimes, especially with Instagram, say you're interested in the thing that made you smile. And then the thing that didn't, make it go away. And of course, typically you can find us at DMS_block, me at Jotmaniac, and
you could look us up on the internet on Kodama Design. You could also go on Facebook. You could look up Tree Spirit Tavern, and you could see our little group that's coming together, and you can check up our updates when we'll be opening our doors.
And for everything else on this network, you can always go to blockpartypodcastnetwork.com. And of course, for huge shout out to the bards at Bombarded for our intro and outro. If they're doing anything, it's always at bombardedcast.com. Let's head to the post-workout cooldown and stretch with the light bulb.
Light bulb.
For today's light bulb, you're already here. What do you get? What do you got going? What are we making these days? I mean, I've heard a multitude of things. We've got pottery, we've got nicks and knacks.
One thing that I've be like top secret. Back before the tables were coming out, I was thinking of doing the D&D tables, and kind of Wormwood stole the show on that. And they made a business of it. Congratulations. They did a really good job. However, there's a lot of stuff out there more for the DMs. It seems like not so much for the players, minus a dice tower and a dice box. So we're going to create something that's like a riding slope, something that was back in the 1800s, a nice decorative box that opens up and actually is a riding slope that has some secret compartments in it, with magnets and levers that you can pull, and little things can open up where you can put your dice, and also areas where you can put your phone or your tablet to work with. That's been in prototype for a couple of years because we've just been so busy. We haven't had time to really focus on it. This might be the year, though, the end of this year, where we can start seeing these things come together. My wife's really working on some excellent mug items. I think I showed you the Mimic one. She made a Mimic mug. I also would been interested in making some weapons. I mean, we have some really unique lathes upstairs in our shop where I can put a barley twist and make it come all the way down to a point. So I can make wizard staffs. We can make wooden swords. Put some exquisite woods into it, mahoganies, contrasted wood. So it's really more handmade and can become a collectible instead of like, here's two 2x4 shot together and we can go outside and swing it at each other type situation. Just making up better ideas, dice trays, boxes with exquisite veneers on it. I have so much unique veneers that's very expensive. That's just sitting in stacks upstairs that I'd love just reuse them and before I throw them out, make something that's really cool out of them and offer them for sale, So those small little items that can be created is still in the works of what we can do, but it'll eventually come out. I mean, DM screens is another one. DM screens with acrylic inserts in so you can change the paperwork in each one. DM screen takes very little wood. Yeah, the scrap acrylic you can get from Home Depot for $1.50 a square foot. So you can really make your own custom DM screens. There's just so many things that can be made, but selling things from high end to something that is very affordable as a simple dice tray where somebody could pick something up for $6 to $10. And there's some things that can go up into the hundreds of dollars for some really unique special items. That's what we're going to try to offer.
Yeah, I like it too, because in everything we've talked about, like there's just this element of customization with wood that is a little more attainable than a lot of other material, because other material is going to require equipment it's all just harder to work with. The second we involve metal, like it's more difficult.
And put the handcrafted element into it. I mean, that's something you don't, the 3D printers and, AI, the 3D printers is all over the place. I was watching something with a 3D printer now where they can dip it into a chemical and you can print your mini with a 3D printer, dip it in a chemical, and it comes out of the chemical. All the detail has been colored. I didn't look into it. Like, how the heck did they do this?
Yeah.
But, there's tones, there's fadings, and it's just done off the computer now. You don't even have to hand paint your mini anymore, so it's changing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the secondary to that's truly wild. And I've really, really tried to figure this out on the ultimate lengths they go to is look up the Gunpla, like the high end Gundam models and the injection molding they do. Cause it's colored injection molding, but it'll be multiple colors on a singular piece. I'm like, what sorcery are we using to accomplish injection molding with multiple colors on a single piece that looks great?
That's kind of what I'm talking about. They just dip it in fluid and it comes out multicolor. So I think they're using different types of the plastic into their 3D printer that can take it different. I have no clue. It's mystery right now.
Yeah, technology has gotten to the point where we also have the physical limitations and we've had to co-opt nature. And I know to get the finest point on the smallest 3D printer, they pulled the proboscis off of a mosquito.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and used it as the very tip of their 3D printer because they couldn't fabricate something small enough to work.
That's insane.
Yeah. So
it's just insane. It's changing. We can't keep up with it.
Just do it yourself, guys. Just come on now.
Just
come on, everybody.
Well, I think something has to be saying with people handcrafting. It's like AI. Everybody's using AI to create images, but there's something to say with somebody draw something by hand or craft something by hand, whether it's wood or fabric or clay. I think that's special. I'd rather pay more than that than something that is just printed out of a 3D printer.
But yeah, with that, right? Yeah, we got it all. Perfect. Well, with that, we'll turn out the lights and head out of the gym. But before we go, we want to implore you, the listener, to join us wherever you can find us and join, especially the Discord, and take part in these challenges, exercises, and other amazing conversations being had.
Okay. To do that, head over to bit.ly/DM banter and try some DM-Nastics so your players don't ask, do you even lift?